We are really on different pages. Okay. Does everybody have it?
Yep.
Okay. This amendment will remove the restriction on locations of offices for the upcoming biennium for DNRC. It does take care of the Dillon office that, as you heard in testimony, Mr. Harvey actually remodeled one of his properties and DNRC moved in last month. It also allows DNRC to occupy the building in Helena that will be owned by Dick Anderson. Local community banks finance a lot of the projects where the state is a lessor, and the state currently has good credibility with its when it offers these sort of these projects, and as a result, we typically receive very good interest rates because the state is a good tenant. DNRC in both of these instances with these different buildings followed the letter of the law in negotiating their leases for new buildings. If what they did was unacceptable to anyone, then we have a duty as legislators to change the law and not punish the contractors and numerous businesses that had operated in good faith with the state of Montana. The beneficiaries, in addition, because of the Helena property situation, the beneficiaries of the state trust land, which is all of our schools, could be harmed with the loss of the building and the DNRC renting that building. This is going to have a chilling effect on banks and contractors, and I urge a due pass on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Glim.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to resist this amendment. We heard a lot of testimony. More things are coming to light. The square footage allowance that does not require legislative approval is for 40,000 square feet. It turns out that the building, the office space is 39,085 square feet. That does not include the parking structure, which is attached to the building to the tune of about 35,000. It was a total of 75,000 square feet for the building. So I think that definitely this needs more investigation, but it seems like that it was kind of runaway. It did not have the oversight of the legislative authority. I'm going to have Barb speak to a few things here in a minute, but the real issue that we see here is that the agency knew about it last session. They did not bring it to the legislature. They didn't discuss it. According to the papers that they brought, it was being discussed in 2011. So really what we're after here is for us to retain some of the power that we have, and the power that we have is to appropriate money. That's what this committee is about. And if we relinquish that to the agencies to spend however they see fit without our approval, and without regard to our approval of that process, it's just going to get worse. This time it's $400,000 a year. Next time it's $750,000. The time after that it's $1 million. It's a train that's running away. We have to put the brakes on. We have to stop it. That's what we need to do here. I'm going to let Barb talk to a few more details that have come to light in the last couple days, and I think probably there will be even more things that come out as this goes on. But
Madam Chairman, members of the committee, I was asked by Representative Glim and Senator Rosendale to look at the process of the land lease in the building via public documents, and that were released regarding it, and both Sam and Stephen helped me in this process immensely. So a couple of the things that we found that we still have questions about to research is, one, whether or not the department went before the Capital Complex Board. Anybody who builds or purchases or a state agency within a 10-mile radius of this building needs to go in front of the Capital Complex Board. We cannot determine whether or not they went appropriately through DOA over the request for space. That is where all agencies are supposed to start for the request of additional space, including space you wish to build. The other couple items have to do with the land lease itself. So one of the issues that we're still needs further research is on face value. If you read the rent on the land, so the rent on the land, if you read the escalation of that in the lease, it doesn't appear on face value to equal what is required by statute on the lease. Statute is tied to a rate of return of investments at the Board of Investments less 2%. It's a little bit odd, and it doesn't seem to match at the moment. A couple other things is that we did find the bid. It was released in May of this year to bid on that property. In the bid, it did state it was for a land lease for someone to build a state building. So, Madam Chairman, that's all I have unless there's questions.
Representative Tropila.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I mean, I'm glad that Ms. Smith has done some research, and we have some he said, she said innuendo here, but I don't think it's actually fair to the director who's in the room to put out comments like that without at least asking the director if he would like to at least comment one more time, because that's, I mean, we're in executive action, we're discussing whether or not to take this amendment, but now we've got some further things that were brought up that weren't brought up at the committee the other day, and the director of DNRC is in the room, and I thought he explained himself very well, and I think he should at least have the opportunity to respond to these innuendos today. If he chooses not to, that's fine, but I don't think it's fair. This committee has thrown out some more stuff that we don't know, and we haven't given him a chance to respond to before we vote. I don't think that's fair, Madam Chair.
I think that's a reasonable request, and I don't see the director back there, but I see him now.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Director, would you like to respond? Director Tubbs.
You need this or something.
I'll just stay here. So, oh, good. Well, I rise with some trepidation. But yeah, a few things. I'll have to go back and research the Capital Complex Board, but the D of A has been involved in this project from the beginning. And Ms. Smith has a copy of the D of A checklist. It only has a few dates on it, but there's an extensive checklist that demonstrates and was provided to the subcommittee in the middle of February that demonstrates that D of A was along the whole way with the process. If the committee chair wants it, we can go back and provide you 6 years worth of emails on it, but I just would assure you that there was no separation between the Department of Administration and the Department of Natural Resources, and we understand that Department of Administration makes the decisions for all state buildings that are occupied, so we followed the law to its letter. We did the public process that is required, and it was an extensive one. So I don't believe that we have erred as far as the law goes. I know it's a controversial issue as far as this committee.
I will allow a couple of questions. I'm not going to dive a lot deeper into this. On both sides, I'm hearing a little bit of uncertainty, so let's have a couple of questions. Representative Ellis.
Madam Chair, I don't have a question. I have a comment. I just wanted to remind the committee that we had a memo from Julie Johnson, our attorney, stating that DNRC did follow the letter of the law, and now we have the Fiscal Analyst Division doing research raising questions, I would encourage staff to try to get on the same page.
Representative Ellis, I think it is anyone's prerogative to ask questions that further clarify or dive deeper into this subject, which is still murky. It is still murky after all this time. So even as to the square footage, as I understand. So let's do a couple more. Representative Brodell.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for Director Tubbs. Madam Chair, Director, could you give us clarification? The parking structure is part of the building. It's attached to the building. How many square feet is it altogether?
Madam Chairman, the parking structure is not attached to the building, and I don't have a square foot for the structure itself. The office building, and again, Department of Administration oversaw all the bids, the plans, so we feel we're in compliance with 39,000 square feet of office space.
Madam Chair, follow up.
Follow-up.
So the parking structure was part of the initial bid with the building?
Madam Chair, Representative, yes.
Thank you.
Just to clarify, I did not hear what the square footage of the parking structure was.
Madam Chair, I would have to go back and get the, I believe that LFD does have the engineering designs. Maybe they have the answer.
But more than 1,000?
Oh, yeah.
Square
No, certainly.
feet.
The parking
Okay.
structure is
Just
a
checking.
very large structure.
Okay. Representative McCarthy.
Madam Chair, I just had a quick question for Barb on the third issue that, Madam Chair, Ms. Smith, the third issue that you raised about lease rates for trust lands being a Board of Investments return rate minus 2%. So within the Board of Investments, there are several investment pools. Does it specify which pool we're comparing it to? Because if it's short-term investment pool, that would be a negative number currently.
Mr. Chairman, Representative McCarthy, according to statute, it is the Unified Investment Program.
Representative Hollinsworth.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for Chairman Glim. Chairman Glim, got to get here. We've talked about this a little bit, kind of off the record, but if we could come up with some type of legislation or a resolution that finance and claims and appropriations from this date forward would be in part of the process, would you release this building? Or have you thought about it that far?
That's a bit hypothetical for this discussion. Representative Noonan, did you have a question? Okay, I thought you did. All right, last one. You guys want to arm wrestle for it, or are you?
Oh, who else wants it?
That's the question. Okay, Representative Melha.
Thank you. Question for the director, please. Madam Chair, Mr. Director, you were, I guess, very cognizant of staying within all statute, and it would probably be your opinion, too, that all of the people that had any oversight over this project were also very cognizant of making sure they were in the law. Is that what I understood from you?
Madam Chair, Representative Melhoff, yes, and that would include the state's 5 statewide elected officials of the Land Board.
Thank you. Madam Chair, can I speak on the bill now?
The
Or on
amendment?
please?
Yes, Representative Melha.
Yes, Madam Chair. What we have here is the legislature has a function, and the function of the legislature is to stay within the present laws and to make new laws. This project, unless further information comes out, appears to be well within the law. They were very cognizant of staying within the laws that are here. Now, if we don't like those laws, we think that we need more oversight, then we have to change the law. And I'm not against doing that. Maybe the square footage allowed here is too much. Then we as a body change the law. But to take somebody who has had to live within the law, he bid the project, and now we're coming back saying, well, yeah, you're within the law, but we don't like the process or the law, so we're not going to abide by it. That's not our responsibility here. And as an appropriation committee, it's not our responsibility to make laws by ourselves. That's the duty of the whole body. So I think that we've got into the wrong discussion here. We're talking about something we don't like. We want more oversight. Then change the law. Give ourselves more oversight. And I'm not against doing that. But you can't take projects that were already in place under the old law and suddenly change them retroactively, because our reputation is very important when we go to bonding. And if you don't think we'll pay for this in a lot of ways, you are wrong. We'll have higher bids by people because they'll have to build in the fact that they don't know whether a legislative body in the future is going to allow their project. You're going to have banks charging higher interest for projects because of the uncertainty. One thing many people don't like is uncertainty, and we're creating uncertainty here. Make no mistake about that, and that is not our responsibility. Thank you.
Representative Woods.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I've officially been around here too long because Bob just said exactly what I'm thinking. Maybe a few more sentences than I would have had, but question?
That's a scary thought. Representative Tropila.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to add on to quickly Representative Melhoff. DNRC, the director, has followed the letter of the law. DNRC is also complying with a legislative audit recommendation by trying to get the most that they can get out of commercial land, trust land. We Democrats not only support the small business guy down in Dillon, but Dick Anderson Construction has been a good friend of the state. He's provided many jobs. He's always worked fairly with the state. We Democrats support Dick Anderson Construction. And mark my words, if this amendment does not pass, there will be a lawsuit brought forward, which is going to cost us a lot more than we think it's going to. So I support this amendment. We support Dick Anderson Construction, and we support the small business owner down in Dillon, Madam Chair.
Representative Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to state that the Republicans support Dick Anderson Construction also. But we also support responsible government. And we're talking about two different issues here, and I think it's gotten muddled a little bit. But the main issue that we're talking about is an increase of $400,000 for rent. And we're being forced into this because the department made a decision that was irresponsible, in my opinion. We don't have $400,000 to all of a sudden throw at this. We have all kinds of issues that we've been looking at. And now we're asking for $400,000. And I'm sure there's a lot of other projects that a lot of other people would like to have that $400,000 for that we've heard about yesterday and today. And all of a sudden we get this slammed on us of saying you have to pay $400,000. Is that the right amount? $400 and some thousand extra on rent. Bottom line, we support all these contractors, but we also support responsible government in making good, responsible decision. And this was a poor decision. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Eli.
Madam Chair, I too would like to address the last comment from the good representative at the end of the table to claim Republicans as irresponsible, and the threat of a lawsuit, which I believe is speculative, is going beyond the cause of this conversation. And I take offense to that, and I want that on the record, Madam Chair.
Representative McCarthy.
Madam Chair, just a question for Chairman Glim. Madam Chair, Chairman Glim, one question that I didn't hear answered in the testimony that we've heard here today, in your investigation and in the testimony that you've been privy to, do you believe that the contractor in this situation has acted in good faith?
Madam Chair, Representative McCarthy, I don't know that I've seen anything that would say otherwise. I believe that there has been that his lease is not his lease on the land. I don't believe was tied to the fact that it be a DNRC building to be built there. And I believe there was testimony or that he maybe had other tenants that were interested. That it was not only DNRC interested for that space.
Representative Brodell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In full disclosure, I am a contractor, and I am also a legislator, and I didn't come here to be irresponsible with contractors or landlords or agencies. I came here to be responsible to the taxpayers of Montana. Thank you.
Representative McCarthy, did you? Oh, okay. Representative Melhoff?
Very quickly, Madam Chair. We don't know how much we saved or didn't save on this. We have different sets of figures as far as what's the long-term effect of this move. Because there was going to be a large charge in some retrofitting for the old building. It wasn't compliant in a lot of ways, etc. So it was looked at, as I understand it, to stay in the building they were in versus build a new building. And ultimately it was decided that the cost of taking an old building, getting it into compliance, was just not worth it. And we're seeing more and more of that in the real world. There's such a change in what is expected in a building in this day and age when you have, add to that problem, that you have public coming into it. And it's just become necessary to sometimes look at older structures and say they aren't worth repairing. The costs are just too high for what you're getting, all the way from doors that aren't the right size to elevators that don't work properly to proper insulation. So many things have changed from the old days and what we used to accept and what we cannot accept anymore. So we don't know a figure on this either way, and I just wanted to say that we're not necessarily saving the taxpayers anything by staying in that old building. In fact, we're probably costing them more than we're saving. Thank you, ma'am.
Now I find myself agreeing with some of what Representative Melhoff is saying too. I think we don't know all of the facts. We'll take a couple more questions, and I will just add to the comments that we've had before. There are still things that we don't know in this situation, which is unfortunate for a project that began in 2011, was still going on when the 2013 legislature was in session, and now here we are in 2015, presented with a bill and asked to make a decision on this with still not having all of the facts. So that for me is the bottom line. Representative Noonan.
Madam Chair, I'm just trying, and I agree with what everybody said here, and Representative Jones talking about being here to, responsible government, and of course, as we sit on this committee, we always have to make the toughest decisions. When it really comes down to, the money part, we can all vote for things on the House floor and then have it come down here and have to make the tough decision no matter what people are doing in the policy committees, and so I totally understand that piece, but I'm been a little bit confused as we've gone through every step of this section so far that there seems to be this theme of being mad at the agencies for different reasons, and so we didn't like bison management across the state, so we punished West Yellowstone and Gardner. For some reason, we won't give transit authority to get federal funds, so we're going to punish the people who have made the investment on local transit for the disabled. Same thing when we get into the highway construction projects, and so here we are. We didn't like that the DNRC followed the law, and I understand that the rent is bigger than we wanted, and we don't like it. But so now we're taking it out on the private contractors, and so I just don't quite understand. We're talking about retaining power and relinquishing it to the agencies and runaway trains and responsible government, and I don't understand where we're actually going in this section, because I can't quite figure out what's going on here.
And I would just remind the committee that the decisions are based not on punishing anyone or rewarding anyone. They're based on making sound fiscal decisions with the information that we have in front of us. So let's make no mistake about that. Representative Ellis.
Do you want to go first?
You go ahead.
Madam Chair, in particular, I wanted to address Representative Jones and his comment about being fiscally responsible. One of the things that we were presented with, and I realize it's this issue is controversial, but over the 20-year lease of this building, it looks like we will save $2 million of taxpayer money in rent. And so that is part of the factor that made DNRC decide this was a good project. Their lease on the current building is almost up. They've had steady increases every year, and it looks like they did ask for bids for renovation as well as for a new building, and the one that penciled out, according to the Department of Administration and DNRC, was the new building. And I just wanted you to know that that is a part of what at least I'm factoring in my decision on this issue.
Representative Jones.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't want to go down this road too long, but I would like to address that issue. And if that was really a concern as far as a 20-year lease, the agency, the Department of Administration and NRDC should have asked for a 20-year lease from the current builder or the current person they're leasing from. You can't take and speculate based on a set amount and an amount that was never negotiated and say, oh, it's going to save money. If that was a factor and they were taking that into consideration, they should have gone to the current leaser and said, what will you give us for the next 20 years? And then you would have an apples-to-apples comparison. We don't have that. Total speculation, total garbage as far as I'm concerned. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Question.
Question has been called. We'll take a roll call vote. And this is on the amendment of Representative Ellis, which is 205-C.ASS.
Majority Vice Chairman Asmundson.
No.
Minority Vice Chairman Noonan.
Yes.
Representative Bradell.
No.
Representative McCarthy.
Yes.
Representative Woods.
Aye.
Representative Glim.
No.
Representative Hagstrom.
No.
Representative Melhoff.
Yes.
Representative Burnett.
No.
Representative Jones.
No.
Representative Trapila.
Yes.
Representative Ellis.
Yes.
Representative Hollandsworth.
All it would have taken is simple communication, but I'll vote no.
Representative Eli.
No.
Representative Chida.
No.
Representative Peppers.
Yes.
Representative Dudik.
Yes.
Representative Hamland.
No.
Representative Cuff.
No.
Chair Balance.
No.
8 representatives voted yes, 12 representatives voted no. Amendment number HB 000205-C.ASS failed.